The Gabon 24 interview welcomes Mark Hopkins, film director from the USA, award-winning filmmaker in documentary and many other projects. So welcome, Mr. Mark.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Great to be here in Gabon.
Amazing. But can you tell us more about yourself? Because I know you are an award-winning filmmaker, more than 15 years in the business. Can you tell us more who you are, where you come from, and what is your work?
So my career is based out of New York, but I'm originally from Kenya. My family's been there for 120
so
years.
You're African.
There you go, yeah. And so I have a real interest in trying to tell stories that about Africa that people don't necessarily expect, because there are a lot of myths and stereotypes that I've seen about Africa that I know from Kenya. Is just it's rubbish. There's a perspective that just is uninformed. People just don't know. So that's hopefully what this film can also do, is show people, all this amazing stuff that's happening.
You have been doing partnership with Discovery Channel also.
BBC, Netflix, various different people we work with.
What brings you here in Gabon right now? What is the project that you have here?
So, like I said, we're working with the national parks. We're looking at the work that's been done for anti-poaching. We're also looking at how there's the best data set of climate change records in the tropics is here in Gabon. So there's climate change science that's been done here that's world leading. So we're trying to tell a 360-degree story of all the different activity that's going on around Gabonese conservation. So
I know that you have already been shooting in the country. You've been in which part of the country?
So I've been to Plateau Bateke, Evindo, Lope, here the Arboretum and Pongora and Wonga Wonge. So there's amazing nature just next to Libreville as well. But I've also traveled around the country. Yeah.
What is the image that Gabon have now in the international aspect that brought you here for you to come and take to show to the world?
Well, I think it doesn't have enough of an image. It's not known about enough. It's not appreciated enough. There's essentially a lot of ignorance, I find, in most of the Western countries, I suppose, more than Latin America, about Africa in general. So Gabon, people think, is a small country. It's not a small country. Yeah.
Yeah.
They assume it doesn't have very much wealth and so on. It's a rich country, so it has a lot of amazing potential and amazing things that the people, I think, in the rest of the world don't really know about at all. So that's a chance here for this film, is to showcase some of that, is to sort of shine a light on this amazing work that's been done in Gabon and put it on the world stage.
Now that the project is about to be done, like you're already at the end of the project?
No, we're ongoing. So it'll be another 12 months, I think.
12 months again?
Of filming.
Okay.
And for release in about 18 months.
Okay. But what did you know personally about Gabon before coming?
I knew quite a bit, just because in Kenya there's a lot of conservation work. So I know a lot of people who work in conservation in Kenya who have always told me about how beautiful Gabon is and how it has, amazing wildlife and rainforests and so on. But I didn't know very much about Libreville or life in Gabon. Obviously, it's French-speaking, not English-speaking, so my French, I'm afraid, is not so good, but I've been trying my best. But it's been wonderful. It's always been very welcomed when I come here. And people really work together to try and help you get material for the film, so it's been fantastic.
I guess you already met our Ministry of Environment, Dr. Lee White.
Yes, we're working.
And you've heard about the policy, our forest policy, everything we are doing here to promote the fight we have here for climate. What can you tell us about this, and what can be the thing that your movie shall bring in this battle that we have?
So yes, we're working with Lee White and his ministry, and they've been very supportive of the project, because in a way we're looking at a lot of the work that they do. Like I explained, we want to really look at all the different facets of the sort of conservation work, but also the one aspect of it, which is trying to see how to include and value the environment for the population of Gabon. So it's not just about looking after animals, it's also about looking after the people of Gabon, because it's a tremendous resource. And how do you get smart about how you use your forests and how you log for timber and so on. So that approach, that sort of big picture, sustainable approach, it's phenomenal that also it's because you have, I think, leadership that is very supportive of it, that enables countrywide initiatives to really be put in place, which is, I think, a world-leading thing. And I think that, for example, people talk about Costa Rica quite a lot in terms of the work it's doing. The work that's been done in Gabon, I would say, is much more impressive than what's
in Costa Rica.
But yet you don't hear about it. So hopefully we can contribute to making people understand it all.
Do you know that we have here 13 national parks? Since the late president, Omar Bongo, when he was there, he left that part to the world because he knew that we have to keep it, to keep it safe for the world to know. But in your movie, is there going to be inside a part for these 13 national parks that we have?
Absolutely. I mean, I think part of actually what we're looking at is going back even further before the establishment of the national parks, because there's a long history, starting with Omar Bongo, of a real commitment to the environment. And so looking at that over the course of 30, 40 years, which, like I keep saying, it's a world-leading initiative that's been undertaken here. So you should be very proud of your country. I think it's a very beautiful country and it's doing amazing things in the environment.
About this movie and the promotion about our environment policy, can you yourself, as the director of this movie, can you give us the link? Like your movie shall be known in the world. What is the message that you want people to understand when they're going to watch this movie?
I hope, I haven't finished it yet, but...
yeah, but I can guess you know.
No, sure. I hope that part of my audience, I think, are very ignorant about the quality and impressiveness of some of the work that's being done in Gabon. And so I hope at the end of the film they come away very impressed with that, very appreciative, because Gabon is doing work on behalf of the whole planet in terms of its conservation. So it sits at the center of the second largest rainforest in the world, and it is doing more to look after that rainforest than I would argue that is being done in the Amazon. And that rainforest is essential in the battle against climate warming. So the people of Gabon are making a substantial contribution to a global problem, and I hope people will come to appreciate that through watching the film.
Now we're gonna tackle some technical aspects of your movie. How long will it last? And maybe you can tell us where will you release it?
So the company that we're working with is called TJAT, stands for This Is Just a Test, and they have several partnerships with people like Netflix and HBO, and so ultimately the decision on whether it's 90 minutes or a 6-part series will be worked out between us and the distributors that we choose to work with. So we are in the process of deciding what the best format for that is, but there is so much material to cover, and what the best way to broadcast that is something that we're in the process of shaping.
We know the Gabonese state is part, or maybe is in partnership with you for this movie. So can you tell us what is the level of partnership? Is it about, did you receive some funding for this movie? Or?
No, there's no financial contribution from the government. It's much more one of supporting the project, enabling us to be able to go
all around the country.
Exactly. So obviously we can't make a film about Gabon without the support of the Gabonese government. So being able to go and film in the parks and travel around Libreville and capture scenes and so on. So it's been supportive in that way. It's also been very supportive in enabling us to film ministers doing their work. So we filmed with the High Commissioner on the Environment. We filmed with the Special Advisor to the President on climate change. These are high-level members of the presidency who are working directly with the issues that we're interested in looking at, and they enabled us to come into their offices to film their meetings as they're working out, and sit for interviews. So they've been very accommodating.
You know that Gabon has a very large biodiversity, and we want to know, as you're an American from Kenya, and you are here in Gabon, about this biodiversity. What can you retain, you as a human being, about the wealth we have here in Gabon? I know you've not been there for long, but maybe you can tell already.
Well, so it's one of the most biodiverse places in the world. It's also one of the places that has been climatically stable for a very long period of time. So it's been politically stable, but it's also been climatically stable, which means that body of biodiversity has been undisturbed. It's been very well preserved. Game parks and forests and so on. So it's an amazing place in the planet in terms of its biodiversity, and it's something that you go into, like Ivindo, you go into a national park and you turn around and you look at a wall, a white wall, and you will see hundreds of different types of butterflies just there.
Just there, on the wall.
It's phenomenal.
Amazing. Can you give us the last word? We have come to the end of our interview, but I know maybe you wanted people to know exactly something further about what has been said. A last word, please.
Well, I hope to come back to Gabon soon, and we can continue our conversation.
Okay, so you are moving already. You are going somewhere?
I've got to go to London this evening, in fact. But I think we'll be coming back in January to conduct more interviews and meet more people. And so maybe we can continue our conversation.
You can come back to our set to speak about further news about your project.
Likewise.
So thank you. You've been watching the interview with Mr. Mark Hopkins, director in the project in Gabon for biodiversity, for environment. And we hope that you've been enriched with what has been said here. So keep watching Gabon 24 and see you next time. Goodbye.